Thank you for tuning in to a couple of Keemers podcasts. I am your co-host, Francesca. People call me Frankie.
And I'm your co host, Christopher. People call me Chris. Today we're going to talk about online dating. With that, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of online dating, strategies for meeting up with people, as well as how to stay safe and being smart when it comes to online dating. So, with that being said, we know with online dating, especially in today's world, a lot of people are apprehensive and rightfully so. However, you know, for us, this is actually how my wife and I met.
Yep.
Was through online dating. Through I found the love of my life.
So sweet.
So, from my experience, I would say, this is something worth trying out and taking your time, but also just being aware of the things that can happen and being smart, like I said, overall about the process.
Right. So what would you say are pros and cons?
Well, as far as pros and cons, the pros, well, for me, off rip, I know this is going to sound biased. I would say one pro is that I got to meet my wife. And a lot of people actually do meet their spouses through online dating. Um,
Yeah.
Even though it might sound very weird or strange.
I don't think so nowadays. I think a lot of people do some sort of interaction initially on the internet, whether it be for intentions of dating or not. I know several couples who personally and just come across them, just living, that have met their significant others online. And personally, I know people who have married them and are, you know, been married for some time.
Yeah, no, and I hear that because I'm trying to think of anybody that I know who went through it.
You know people, but through me. I don't know about people that were your friends first or whatever.
Yeah, I can't really think of anybody.
Now they're your friends because they were my friends.
Right. So we share friends,
We do.
but as far as anybody that I know that found their spouse online dating, I mean, I know of someone, but they are friends with one of my friends, if that makes sense, or if that's a good example. And once I found out their story, I was like, okay, well, there's hope. But obviously, this was a year or two, maybe 2 years before we actually met online. So, but anyway, it was still an
Yeah, I would
example.
say meeting, a quality person is a pro, but you can do that also, in traditional dating. That's what I like to call it, traditional dating versus online dating. Um, I just think that my biggest point with online dating is that people try to make it so different than like the traditional way of meeting someone, planning a date, going on dates, turning into more, etc. I don't think there's a huge difference. Of course, there's an element, because it's starting virtually, that's different, but ultimately, I don't see much of a difference. And another misconception that I think a lot of people think is, oh, you're online dating. They like think that you've like X'd out the option to, you know, to meeting people or being set up or however
Right.
many ways that you can meet someone that's not online dating. They think that you've X'd that out as your options. Like, no, I
Exactly.
honestly thought that it just upped your options because I mean, you could make it strategic to you. You can meet someone, you can say, I need them to live within X amount of miles of me. Or if you're open to long distance relationship, you can meet somebody states and states away. Heck, you could meet somebody from a different country if you really wanted to. But from my experience, I never looked for anyone outside of the US. Um, but you can make it as custom or as open as you want. So I think that would definitely be a pro is finding someone that you might not necessarily have found by being in your area. You know, if you're not someone that travels a lot or has a lot of traveled people in your circle, you might really be missing out on someone that might live in the next state over or the state on the other side of the coast. Um, if you're into that type of thing, it all just depends on what you're open to and what you're interested in.
Yeah. And I mean, that you mentioned about the traditional way as far as like setting up a date, like a, say, like a blind date. I mean, when you think about it in a way, that was another version of not seeing somebody before you actually meet them. And
Right.
you had to trust whomever it was, whether it be a friend or relative or whomever, you had to trust them to say, like, oh, I'm setting you up on this blind date. This person is cool. And you may have felt like initially, like, I don't know this person. You telling me all these things. How do I know that for sure?
Right.
And you,
Because your trust is in that person, whereas with online dating, your trust is in the app and also or the website, and also with that person is being honest to you about what they look like. I mean, people can put on a facade and pretend to be pretend to be someone who they're not for a long time. Now, I don't think that's something that they could put on forever. It could be years, it could be many years, it could be months, but eventually the real true person is going to show themselves eventually. So, as far as the physical element, yes, online dating is a higher chance of getting catfish, so to speak.
yeah,
Um, I never got catfished, and I online dated for a long time. And I'm not trying to say it doesn't happen. There's a whole show about it, so it happens. But my personal experience, I never got catfish on a physical level. Yes, I've had plenty of men from online dating as well as just meeting them traditionally out and about, someone knows someone type thing. And in both online dating and that way, they have pretended to be someone they were not, as far as, you know, the type of job they have, type of car they drive, where they're from, their background, how they are, how their personality is, what their interests are, you know, things like that. They just tell you, like traditionally they say, tell them what they want to hear. I've had
yeah,
tons of men tell me what they think I want to hear. I catch, you know, I take the bait, I'm going along with it, then the truth comes out. I've had that happen with both. So, um, I don't know, I guess a con could be getting catfish, not knowing what the person
yeah,
physically, or thinking that the person looks one way and it actually look another. Whereas like blind dating, it's like you, someone knows this person, someone you know knows this person, um, without a fact. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. So that kind of reminds me. I know you're not familiar with the app Tinder. I'm not even sure how popular it still is, honestly. But
right,
Tinder kind of reminds me of a blind date because it tells you if the person, because it's linked with Facebook, so it tells you if the person profile that you're looking at um, knows someone that you know. So you can kind of like, if you wanted to, be like, hey, I know, I see this person, you know this person, like, can you tell me something about them? That way you can vet them out before if you were going to meet them in person after meeting them on Tinder. So Tinder's kind of like a blind date
hmm,
if the person that you're looking at has mutual friends with you
right,
on Facebook. So, you know, I know Tinder, at least when I was using it way back, quite a few years ago now, it was more considered like the hookup app where people are just, you know, meeting each other for one time, doing what they do, and then moving on. But I've also heard success stories of people meeting, you know, their significant others on there. So, I mean, just like with anything, it's what you make it.
right,
You just want to make sure you're being safe and smart about who you're meeting, how much information you divulge about yourself in the beginning. Um, just just some smart, safe tips I would say is, you know, talk with the person. It's 2021 now. You FaceTime somewhere, Zoom, whatever. They don't have an iPhone. You can eliminate that whole catfish thing by just saying, "Hey, we need to video chat." And if they don't video chat, just draw hard lines and hard boundaries. Like if you can't figure out a way to video chat me, I'm not meeting up with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And but that's up to you. That might not be your hard boundary, but if you feel that way about, nervous about being catfish, that can be one of your boundaries that you draw. But you want to be safe and smart, exchanging pictures, talking on the phone quite a few times. You can set that number or that feeling for yourself. Meeting in the daytime, meeting somewhere public, letting someone know what you're doing, where you're going. I mean, depending on your relationship with your elders, you might not want to tell one of them, but at least have one friend you trust, one person that you trust that you're telling where you are, where you're going to be. Even I would and have shared like the pictures and the information. If I have a phone number, well, I always have a phone number for the person, their phone number, how I met them, where we're going. If you choose to go to a second location, always let the person who knows that you're going to second location. I mean, now you have things where you can share your location for 24 hours if you haven't already shared your location with someone so that they're knowing where you are. This sounds like a lot that's involved when you're just meeting someone. It's something that's supposed to be like an organic connection. But honestly, you should do that, I believe, even if are just meeting up with someone that you didn't meet just for online, that it might be a first date that you don't have any like previous relation. Like if it's like a coworker that you've been working with for 2 years, maybe not. But if it's somebody that you just met at the grocery store and they ask you out on a date, I would still do things like that.
Exactly.
You just want to be safe, and this goes for men and women because a setup is a setup is a setup. I don't care who you are, how tough you think you are. If you're unaware of the situation and blindsided, anything can happen. So that would be, a tip for being safe on any date, but obviously we're talking about online dating. So I would definitely do that. I would definitely share some information with a trusted person and keep them updated regularly throughout the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
right. Like you said, meeting in a public place, I'm thinking, like a neutral site. Like I know for us, we met at a restaurant. So my thing is, if you're out
in the daytime.
in the daytime, if you want to go out with somebody, my thing is to always find a public place, or this neutral site to where you can meet up with them there versus, getting in the car with somebody that you just met. Like to me that's not necessarily the wisest decision. Even like you say, even if it's somebody that you met at a grocery store and they asked you out on a date, like it doesn't matter. Like you still should be safe. But I think there's a lot of stigma and a lot of misconception when it comes to online dating and meeting up with somebody that you met from the internet. And on one hand, I get it because it just seems for so long we're so used to doing things in person, but understand that the same precautions that you would take when meeting somebody online, you should take it when meeting them in person as well. Just because you see them in person doesn't automatically mean like, oh, well, I know what they look like, so it's cool. It doesn't work that way. Just because you know what they look like doesn't mean you know what they're about.
Yeah. What would you say are some cons? Some cons of online
I, well,
dating?
what a con? Well, you brought up one, which is what the catfishing. You want to avoid as much as possible being set up for scams or not
Somebody being deceitful.
someone being deceitful, someone trying to rob you, someone, all these different things,
Try
but
to harm
try to
you.
harm you.
But that happens. That's the thing to me about it. You know, it's that like just slapping the label as online just scares people. And I think it just started early on when like when internet became a really household thing and children were accessing it and they used to just always talk about online predators. It's still definitely today, but I
Yeah.
feel like there used to be commercial after commercial
Oh
and
yes.
like all the talk shows are talking
Yes.
about online predators. And so I think that just has trickled over to, meeting someone online, period. It doesn't matter who it is. I use different apps and different things where, you can sell items and you have to meet up with somebody to either pick up the item or pass the item along to them. And I take the same precautions as I would if I was meeting someone for an online day. Like, I would let somebody know where I'm at, what I'm doing. Send them, because usually I do it like on Facebook Marketplace and stuff. I send the profile of the person who's selling the item. Usually I'll check the profile of the person who's selling the item to make sure, it's not like a newer profile. They don't have like 5 friends and it's some setup. Anything where you're just not familiar, I would just make sure someone knows where you are. Like, I just let people, when I'm alone with someone, especially on like a romantic tip, I usually let someone know where I am. Obviously now we're married. I don't need to let nobody know where I'm at. In fact, I don't want nobody to know where I'm at besides you, because
Yeah.
people would just be getting on my nerves. But, at any time when you're just with someone one on one, you usually like let someone know where you're at. I don't
Exactly.
know.
But yeah, no, I think overall that is definitely something to be aware of as far as like a con with online dating. But I do think, like I said, that stigma of the word online and you attach it to dating, and all of a sudden people just react in a different way than they would if it was in person, which makes me think about the next con that I would say about online dating would be it does take away from the in-person social interaction where you're doing everything either through an app or possibly over the phone or video chatting, video messaging, whatever. It kind of takes away from the social interaction as far as like being in person with that person. So I could understand for some people that might be a turnoff in that, I want to see you in the flesh versus I have to, sit and watch your face. Although dealing with COVID, I mean, a lot of times, how would that look? Because more than likely, you probably like, well, we got this pandemic going on. I'd rather just video message you anyway. So it might be of some benefit for someone, but overall, I do think that could be a turnoff or one of the cons of online dating is that you don't get to see the person face to face in person. You have to kind of interact with them through the phone or whatever device you may have.
Right, the messaging system on the app. And there's different apps and stuff. Um, we met on OkCupid. They have, dating apps specifically for religions, for your now they have like farmers only
Oh
for
yeah.
different age groups. I personally know, a more mature woman. She has adult children and she's, been divorced for quite some time and she's looking for love. She went on a website for, the mature audience for I think it's 55 plus and found herself a little boyfriend. Now I don't know if it'll work out. I hope it does. She seems extremely happy. But these things have no age limits. They have, some sites might, but there's just so many out there. You just gotta find the one for you. They have ones, cater to specific races. So if you're that race or you're only into that race or, prefer a certain race, you can go and find someone like that. It's super customizable in that way and where you can find what you're looking for if you're willing to put in the work because relationships from start to finish are work. Now whether you enjoy the work, whether it's hard work, whether it's light work, that depends on the two people in the relationship, but it's always going to be work nonetheless. So I think that finding someone online, that's no different. There's no difference to the work. It starts in the beginning.
Yeah, and speaking of, finding the specific website or websites that are custom toward what you're looking for as far as age and ethnicity and things. Uh, the one con I can think of is cost, because for some sites, I'm sure as you know, to have full access to all of the features and things that you can use, you got to pay a certain amount of money per month to do that. Whereas,
Yeah, that's another point. Some of them are free and some of them are not. So,
yeah, when we use OkCupid, I mean, that was free to message you, so,
yeah.
and that was,
Isn't that nice? It was free to message me. Should have cost you.
I mean, that's okay. I'll pay whatever just to meet the love of my life.
Oh,
But
but clearly you wouldn't because you chose the free version.
I'm just saying,
I think I had the paid version.
what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I had the paid version because I wanted to see who was stalking my page. You could see who be looking at your page.
Oh, okay.
So, who wouldn't want that? I'd be interested to see who look at my social media pages now and who be clicking.
Yeah.
So it wasn't expensive. There's some that's super expensive. Like, in my opinion, I think eHarmony is expensive.
I was gonna say either eHarmony or was it Match? That's also
Is Match expensive? I don't know.
thought
I just
so.
remember
I can't
eHarmony because that's another one. They got the commercials and they've been having them for a while, and it's like, okay, eHarmony, and then you get on there, you do the test or whatever they have you do. I signed up for that one too, but I didn't pay anything, so I couldn't get very far. But yeah, I'm just super into that type of stuff. So I'm the perfect candidate for online dating. It's not for everyone. I mean,
No.
we definitely promote it as far as if someone's interested and they're finding themselves at crossroads and they really want to find someone and they're interested, male or female, whatever your interest may be, I say go for it.
Yeah. I mean, because I was on there a couple of months, and like I said, I was very fortunate. I was lucky.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, because I mean,
Extremely fortunate. Blessed. You hear me?
Yes.
Blessed beyond belief. You hear me?
yes, I am truly blessed every single day of my life.
Every single day of his life, he is blessed with an amazing wife
Yes.
that he had found on the free version of OkCupid. Meanwhile, personal story time here. Meanwhile, I was in college. Not that he wasn't in college, but he went to community college first. I've been living on campus for 4 years. Living that life. Couldn't find my husband there. I was online dating. Couldn't find my husband there. I was out there, I was in clubs, I was at the grocery store. I wasn't at home like never. I was not a homebody, especially in my 20s. So, explain to me why I had to find my husband on the paid version of OkCupid while and not to mention, Christopher, how long were you on there?
No, I said, I was on, well, specifically OkCupid.
Oh, you said it already? How long you were on there?
Yeah, about 2 months.
About 2 months. You know how many years I was on and off of online dating sites? Years. I don't even know. Like, probably a decade. I mean, it was fun for me. I was young. I'm still young, but I was even younger. And so it was just like, I wasn't on there most of the time for serious, like, I must find a serious relationship. I was definitely looking for a serious relationship, but I was still having a great time being young and single, in college at the time, a young career woman at the time. I was just having a ball, and online dating was just part of me meeting and connecting with more people. So that's just how I did. But women, we be on these sites and we get talked to so many. Oh, and that's why I was out of the dating game when Bumble came around. But I think Bumble had a really cool, like, different spin on it where you can, if I don't have it mistaken, it's where the women select the men, like the men select the women, but they can't talk to them until the women select them back.
Oh,
Right.
is
Like
that what that
we
was
have to
about?
message first instead of like, because this is another con of online dating. I'll put this on a con is that a lot of times you get unsolicited photos, comments,
Mm,
um, I guess what like catcalling essentially online, and it can be very inappropriate, very just makes you want to roll your eyes. Sometimes even offensive, especially if you don't reply or don't reply what they feel is correct. I mean, just like when you, well, just like in the streets when you get catcalled, you can get called so many names if you don't respond to them the way that they feel their ego boosted. That happens online dating too, but I think more with like the unsolicited photos, and people are just a little bit more bold behind the keyboard. So
oh yeah.
those type of things I would say is a con, but an app like Bumble, if I have it correct, that one allows, if you're a woman, it is for, I believe, it is aimed more towards heterosexual relationships, and women have the ability to accept the conversation from the man or not. So if you're not even interested in his conversation, you just don't select them or however it works. So that I believe would cut down, probably does cut down on a lot of the unwanted conversation. Whereas, on most online dating apps, it's kind of open to whomever can talk to whomever, which is good in some sense. But like I said, sometimes you get a lot of unwanted comments and conversations. So Bumble kind of puts a halt on that or a filter on that.
Yeah, which I think a lot of dating sites could actually benefit more from that because, like you said, it cuts down on all that traffic, all that unnecessary, unsolicited, you know, things that pop up. And yeah, a lot of people get brave behind the keyboard. It's so amazing to see how people's real personalities can come out through the keyboard versus how they are in person as far as when they do sneaky, deviant, or inappropriate things like that. But that was never me. I'm not that kind of person. I just don't believe in sending people something that can come back to harm you or just stay on the internet forever. I mean, for what? It's not worth it. But that's just me. But yeah, those are some. I think those are good pros and cons of online dating. But I think the biggest thing is, being smart, being safe when meeting up with people, going on dates. Treat it the same way that you would if you met this person in person and they want to take you out for the first time like that. I
Yeah, I
think it
would I would
applies.
be safe no matter how you're dating, cuz these days people are nuts.
Exactly.
They really are. They really are. So you have to be careful whether you're traditionally dating someone or met them untraditionally, or if you've met them online. You just got to be safe out here, you guys. Um, but love is worth it. We found each other, so I will definitely cheers to love is worth it. But um, you just need to be safe and you need to act smart, and don't be meeting somebody for the first time in at midnight. Don't drink a bunch when you're out with them for the first time. If you do that, um, things like that. Just be smart. However you meet the person, um, have your standards, have your boundaries, and um, and be open. Be open to different things. I would say when you're dating, and this is not specific just to online dating. You know, sometimes you find what you're looking for, and you didn't really expect it to look a certain way or things like that. Um, but just be open. Definitely have your boundaries and your standards, but make sure they're not so strict that you are really missing
Yes.
some great people. So
Yes.
that's important.
Because some people one last thing. Some people, the idea of online dating, even though they haven't looked it up, haven't researched anything, some people, when they hear that phrase, that term, that automatically says, nope, I'm not doing it. And to me, you can really limit yourself like that. So I'm really grateful that I did it and found my wife.
I was over here trying to find a really good quote because I didn't have it ready. And I think I like the one, and I don't think we used it yet, is love is not only something you feel, it is something you do.
Yes.
Did I do that? Did I say that one already?
No.
Yeah, I like that one. Love is not only something you feel, it is something you do. So just going back to what I was saying earlier, no matter what, relationships are work. All relationships, whether it's friendships, familiar relationships, romantic relationships, they're all work. So love, and most of them include love. You love your family, you love your friends, you love your partner. But it's definitely something you do. It's an action.
Yes.
It's not just a feeling.
Exactly.
So I think we're good there.
All right.
That wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.